Hello, my name is Rob, and that's what I look like. That's the only photograph I could find with my face in it that was any good, apart from this one, which is when I was a little bit younger. So that's what I look like, and I am an illustrator, and I write books, and these are some of my books. This is a new one called My Best Friend, and this is The Woods, which came out last year, and then this one, The Cave, came out a couple years ago, and we're actually going to do some drawing of one of the characters in the cave. But don't worry, it's going to be super easy because we're going to break it down into different bits, and I'm going to go slow and it will be fun. So, okay, first of all, who are we going to be drawing? Not this guy. We're going to be drawing the bear from my book, The Cave. So, this is the bear. This is just when the bear has jumped out of the cave and spooked the wolf. This is another picture of the bear. So, as you can tell, looks like a big hairy bear. So, we're gonna need a few different things. Hopefully, this is kind of simple stuff that you'll have lying around. So we have a pencil, a pen, and then just some different kind of brown colored things. So I just have lying around some crayons, like wax crayons and pencil crayons. Doesn't really matter, like it doesn't have to be super fancy stuff. Just whatever you have, because this is all I have, 4 colors. But first of all, we need the pencil, and we need a piece of paper. So, we're gonna start with the outline of the bear, which, as you can see, is a kind of like a pear-shaped kind of thing. So we're gonna start. I would start with the big body down here. And one thing I would say is, when I draw, I tend to go a little bit like sketchy. Like don't try and draw like the shape, because whenever I try and do that, it just ends up completely wrong, and the wrong shape, and just wibbly and weird, and I don't know. I find it way easier if you just go a bit sketchy and try and work out the shape that way, because we're gonna use our crayons later anyway to kind of neaten everything up, and you're not gonna see these lines. So first of all, that's what you want to do. You want to just get the right shape. So then we've got our body, and we're gonna want to do big arms. So there's one arm, kind of looks a bit like that, and the other arm on the other side. Like that. And then, see, the bear has like little kind of stubby legs. So just some little legs and some big old feet. Now with the feet, I drew the bear with 3 toes. I obviously didn't do enough research with this book because I don't think bears have 3 toes, but that is what we're going with. Feel free to give your bear the correct number of toes. I'm sure you know better than I do how many toes a bear has. So there we have the body, the arms, the little feet, and then I would say let's do the claws. Bear is looking pretty scary with his claws out. So for those, you just want some little triangle shapes. You want some on the end of his paws, and then on the end of his toes. Very ferocious. And then, now that we've got like our outline of the whole body, what we're going to want to do is put the face in. So let's go for the little mouth kind of snout bit. As you can tell, I'm not an expert on the names of these things. So that is just a circle, like here, and then a little nose, a little round nose, and the mouth. You got that? So it's just a circle, big circle, and then a little circle, and then for the mouth, like I've done him as a kind of smiley bear, so it's just like a semicircle little line there. And then above the nose, you're going to want to give him his big eyes. So again, like, go super sketchy because we're going to draw over this in a minute. Because otherwise, like, if I try and do like a circle, it's like, it's so wibbly. So yeah, give him his other eye. And then some eyeballs. Eyeballs? The black bits inside the white bits. And then 2 little ears, which just go on the top of the head like that. And then we kind of have our bear character. So what we're gonna do next is color this guy in. And so, like I say, I just have a bunch of different brown colors here. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna pick the lightest color. So this is kind of like an orangey kind of color. If you look at the bear here, you can see he's mostly kind of like dark brown, but then you can see underneath he's kind of got some like light brown, orangey fur going on. So that's what you're gonna want to do first. You're gonna want to draw super light colors first, and then we're gonna go darker colors, and hopefully it's gonna look a bit like that. So first of all, with the light color, and you're gonna just do some really good scribbling here. This is professional scribbling. I went to university for 3 years to learn how to scribble like this. So all over the body. This is gonna make the fur, top of the head as well, and the arms. You want to do the arms. Try and stay kind of within the lines, but also if it goes out of the lines, it doesn't matter too much, because hopefully when we go into those darker colors, we can go a bit neater with those. So what else do I have? I have another kind of like orangey color, this is a pencil crayon. I think I'm going to do the feet with this, so I'm just going to kind of a bit neater colour this one in. So it's actually the same colour, but that doesn't matter, it's okay. So I'm just doing my very neatest colouring in. And also you see this kind of mouth, snout, nose bit is also that same kind of like light brown orangey colour, so we're gonna colour that bit too. And again, like if you can see those lines coming through with the pencil, like that doesn't matter too much. Do not worry, because I think in the end it's gonna look pretty good. Okay, so then we go a bit darker. This is a kind of a darker brown. And we're gonna do the fur on the top of this kind of light brown orange. So again, best scribbling. And you see it kind of, where we did the light up orange kind of color, like it didn't, it's not coloring in over the top of that, which looks kind of cool. And you're going to want to be careful not to go over the mouth bit here, around the head. And do the arms. And the legs. A bit more of the arm. Looking good. Alright, and then this is my last colour. This is just the darkest brown colour I could find. It doesn't have to be a wax crayon, it could be pencil crayon, or it could be felt tip pen, or you could even do it in paint, I guess. But this is what I had lying around, so this is what I'm using. And then we're gonna do the dark brown over the top, and this is when it's gonna start really looking like a bear. So you can kind of see now how the lighter colours underneath, like you can still kind of see them, but we've built up the colours so that it looks like fur, I think. So yeah, be careful around the face, but don't worry about being too careful, because if you look at a real bear's fur, it's all sorts of different colours. Right, there's the arm, the other arm, the legs. Okay, I'm gonna do just the little furry ears as well with this dark brown colour. And then, you know what, I'm going to use the pencil that I was using just to do... No, actually, you know what, I'm not. I am going to use the pen for these details. Because the pen will draw on the top of all of this stuff, and it gives you a really nice kind of clean looking shapes and lines. So this is just a felt tip pen. This looks fancy, but you could use a felt tip pen or a biro or just a really dark crayon, just anything that makes like a dark line. So we're gonna do the nose, which is just a circle, and you can really see how those lines that we did earlier, when you draw over the top, they just disappear, but it's cool because it gives you something to draw around. So there's the nose and the mouth, and then you want to do the eyeballs. Very cool. And then I would say the last thing you want to do is just the claws. So those triangle shapes that we did earlier. So you just want to fill them in as 1, 2, and 3. And then the same on this side. And then just the feet. 1 claw, 2 claw, 3 claws. And then on the left foot. There we go. So that is looking pretty good, I think. Might want to just brush off some of those crayon bits. But yeah, that is how you draw the bear from the cave. So have a go. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Okay, bye.